Today, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a case regarding the separation of powers. It stems from President Trump's decision in March to fire Rebecca Kelly Slaughter from the Federal Trade Commission. Federal law says members can be removed only for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. No such justification was given. Slaughter's attorneys claim that allowing the president's action would destabilize institutions. Joel Alicea is a professor of law at Catholic University of America. He is the director of the Law School Center for the Constitution and the Catholic Intellectual Tradition. So you were in court today. What were your takeaways?
Well, I think that it's always kind of a mistake to read too much into the oral argument, but it does seem like there are probably 6 votes to sustain the president's position in this case, to say that he does have the authority to fire the commissioner of the FTC and maybe therefore the commissioners of other independent agencies.
So for people who may not be familiar, what is the case and also its significance?
So this is a case where President Trump has fired a commissioner of the Federal Trade Commission, and that commissioner has statutory protections from being fired. Only under certain circumstances is the president supposed to be able to fire that commissioner, and he fired the commissioner without obeying that statute, relying on his constitutional authority, saying that he has inherent constitutional authority to fire her even in the face of a congressional prohibition. So that's a hugely significant constitutional question. Does the president have the power to remove the heads of agencies at will, even though Congress has purported to restrict his authority to remove?
And when is a decision expected?
I think we could probably expect this to be a late decision, probably sometime in late June.
So how would this impact not only the Trump administration, but also future administrations?
Well, to the extent that the president is able to remove any agency head at will, even the commissioners of these independent agencies, that would give the president a lot more authority over the policy direction of these entities, and therefore subject those independent agencies, as they're called, to more political accountability. So the president has been elected on an agenda. He wants to implement that agenda. A lot of these independent agencies are composed of commissioners and agency heads that don't agree with the agenda he was elected on. He would then be able to, if the decision goes his way, remove those agency heads, replace them with people who agree with his policy perspective that he was elected on, and therefore change the direction of those agencies. And his successors would be able to do the same thing. So one thing I think it's important to emphasize is that even though President Trump is the one who is asserting this authority and has pushed the issue to the Supreme Court, there's nothing particularly partisan about the issue itself, in that if the president prevails at the Supreme Court, as I think he will, his successors, Democrat or Republican, will have more authority over policymaking in these agencies, and therefore the agencies will be more accountable to the electorate.
Now, for people who are watching at home and following this, oftentimes we'll hear that people are serving the president at his pleasure. So how does that work when we hear that, but then also now in this legal framework?
So there are many officials who everyone agrees serve at the pleasure of the president, and that means that he can just fire them at will. But there are a lot of agency heads, like the head of the commissioners of the Federal Trade Commission, the National Labor Relations Board, these agencies that have enormous power, that are given statutory protections and cannot be fired at will under current law. And so the importance of this case is testing the constitutionality of those protections from removal, from being fired by those agency heads. And if the president's able to fire them whenever he wishes, then they will all serve at the pleasure of the president. And as I said, that has significant policy-making implications.
Joel Alicea, thank you so much.
Thank you.